All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm just gonna give it a couple seconds as always, just to make sure everything's working here. Okay. All right. Welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo Community, a place for tattooers, apprentices, and collectors to unite under all things tattoo. We encourage that you join in these live stream events and real world events where we offer a new option with connecting with each other for the better. From developing your art to getting down to the technical with your skills, surrounded by like-minded peers, you can see us beaming out with events every day, from live tattooing to drawing groups and one-on-one classes. I want to thank everyone joining in from YouTube, Facebook, or Vimeo, and a special shout out to anyone listening via podcast. Our event schedule and notifications can be found on the free Reinventing the Tattoo app, Apple or Google Play stores, or directly online at community.reinventingthetattoo.com. All these episodes can be found on demand in the folders section. If you can hear us, feel free to tag us and a friend who may benefit from this experience and knowledge, as well as yourself. If we here at Reinventing the Tattoo are beaming out to 5 channels 24/7, if you go to reinventing247.com, you can enter to win a free goodie bag that has some gifts from Raw, Cheyenne, and Dallas Pro. For those who don't know, we have several shows on top of this one. We have Sundays at 1 p.m. with Jason Leeser. Sundays at 9 p.m. Tattoo Weekly with Gabe, Lauren, and Jake Meeks of Fireside. Monday mornings are here, this is the Monday Morning Drawing Group with Keir Franklin. That is myself. 9 p.m. on Mondays with Guy Aitchison. Those are the one-on-one classes that you get to do. You will have to have a subscription to Reinventing the Tattoo in order to join in, but that's something that is honestly like once in a lifetime that you get to really sit down and talk with Guy, get to know him, and ask all the questions that you'd like about the subject that you'll be learning on that week. Tuesdays at 10 a.m. with Ricardo Sturdivant. That is his drawing group where he likes to go over like different forms of composition, how to see things clearly. And he goes over several different topics and also very philosophical things. Wednesdays at noon is the Tattoo Now show. Thursdays at 10 a.m. is the Thursday morning fundamentals class with myself, Keir Franklin, where we go over basic fundamentals of drawing in relation to tattooing, and you get to learn new terms and what they mean, and you get to look at how the world is viewed through the fundamental aspects. Thursdays at noon is the Tattoo Collecting Podcast with Fawn Baker and Jordan Lucas, and much more content from Andre Malcolm to BJ Betts at courses.reinventingthetattoo.com. Thank you for making this free to our sponsors. I'll have to shout out to those. WorldTattooEvents.com, updated tattoo events around the world, especially with COVID. Going on, there's been a bunch of move arounds with conventions on who's going, who's not going, seminars, not seminars, all stuff. Making stenciling the job done. And as I'm looking over, I may be frozen? Question mark? Let's try this again. I don't know what's been interwebs. And why it's been acting up lately. I'll have to. All right, we'll just continue on. Dallas Pro, DermalizePro.com, can help tattoo clients around the globe. Gabe Ripley, Tattoo Now for 25 years. He's been doing a great job building websites for other tattooers and keeping everybody updated with that stuff. Guy.com, of course, we have to mention him. You can find his prints, pretty much everything. Prints, paintings, machines, his books, all of that fun stuff right on GuyAitchison.com. And of course, thank you to our affiliates at ecofriendly.com, eco-friendly tattoo supply. And I am making sure y'all can hear me, see me. Make sure I'm not talking to myself here. I'll have to figure that out today, why this is happening. I just have to try and figure out across the house, but so I don't know what the dealio is with that. Or I should say, if you don't come to Monday morning drawing groups that often, feel free to log on to the Reinventing the Tattoo app and you can join in right from there. Looks like you can see me, but I'm just very fuzzy. Okay. Well, we will do the best that we can, right? So if you, once again, would love to join in to the drawing group, feel free to hop on to the Reinventing the Tattoo app. I have the Zoom link right up so you can join in that way and you can come hang out. And today I am doing this painting. So it's right. I was painting for a little bit. For some reason, I can't spot it now. Oh, thank you, Jason. Must just be me then, right? Loud and clear. Good. Well, today we're gonna be painting then. I have this painting behind me. I'm just have everybody see it here, and pretty much I'm almost done. See that I have all my paints here. We're gonna list off the colors we're gonna be using today, and we'll get right on that. Everything is so slow, so please bear with me, everybody. Jason said he'll be on in a little bit. Thank God. I'll just make that the host. How about that? All right. So I'm using Liquitex Pro Heavy Body Acrylics today. And let me list off and show what I'm using. So our palette today, let me grab them. And I'm using like really, really, really tiny brushes today because, like I said, I'm pretty much done with it. So the more like layers you add, you know, the smaller brushes you use as you go about and saturate that area. So I'm just pulling out the colors here. I have my hand. There we go. It looks like I'm missing one color, but I don't think I'll be needing it. All right, so today we have, I don't know how well this is gonna We have Liquitex. This is transparent raw umber. We have ultramarine blue, which you can tell has a dent in it because I've used so much of it. We have cerulean blue. Okay, we have yellow oxide or yellow ochre. Matches my shirt. And I'm looking for my Fido blue, but I'm sure it's around here somewhere. And then, of course, last but not least, we have our bright aqua green, which is pretty much done. So that's what we're going to be using today. And of course, I'm using complete straights of white and black. White. Is, in my opinion, one of my favorites. When it comes to just white and black, I really don't care what the brand is because I'm never using like straight white and black unless it's very, very deep concentrated area, where I do have areas in this painting that have straight black in them. So I don't need like a heavy body of white and black areas. So even though I do have heavy bone, there's that. Let me see if I can do something with my Wi-Fi here, right? And for some reason, I can't spot like my phone to show. So we'll do it this way. Maybe, hopefully, maybe it'll work this way. But so much stuff is being used right now as far as Wi-Fi goes. You know what? I'm going to just get less of it here. Done. Done. You know what? Done. Let's see if that helps a little bit. So just give me a second just to pour out my pigments here. I'm really just using like the dapperest of dapper amount because these heavy body acrylics can go very, very, very far. So let's do that. I do apologize that my Wi-Fi is absolutely not the greatest right now. And I think I like it a lot that I'm trying to stick to the same palette for a lot of my stuff. Like this palette that I'm using is very similar to the last painting that I did, of like that girl in that coffin that I posted. It's pretty much like the same palette. So I think it's quite funny that I'm using the same palette for things. Maybe I'm just trying to get real into this palette before I move on to another one. Maybe this is the palette that I use forever. Who knows, right? I'm seeing on the YouTubes here that you guys still can't see that painting. Well, maybe when Jason hops on, he can tell me how to do it. Because for some reason, it's not letting me add my spotlight here. So I have like, so you can tell, the smallest amounts of things. Well, it doesn't get any smaller than this, guys. Because I'm very much just using the finite amounts of things. I have even smaller brushes I'll show the brushes I'm going to be using today. So I got this little boo here, little tiny thing. And then I have this guy. And there's no specific brand for these. These are just like cheap brushes that I found at like Michael's or something that come in like that package. And then I have these brushes here, which are one of my favorite. These are one of my favorite pairs of brushes of all time. And I have a couple other ones here. Very, 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 very tiny one. Ooh, you can barely even see it, so tiny. And then of course, got a longer boy just for straighter things, trying to clean up edges. But these are the only brushes I'm going to be using today. Everything else has been already focused on and used. And now it's time for finite detail area, which is what everybody loves to focus on, right? And I'm just trying to figure out a way to show everybody what the heck I'm doing. Recording. My bad. Of course. There we go. Maybe that'll work. All right. Well, either way, let's pick some colors here. Wow, how sad that I can't spotlight this camera. That just means I have to bring this one that I'm using right now closer. And of course, as always, we have to pick a topic of the day, which was going to be color theory, but it seems like my camera is malfunctioning on us. So, but we can still talk color theory, can't we? So I'm using very opposing palettes here. I'm using a like blue, and then it's complementary, which is yellow. And in my Thursday fundamentals class, we talked about chroma and the use of chroma. And I started introducing everybody to how they can pick their palettes appropriately based on understanding their color wheel and hue wheel, and the differences between that hue wheel and color wheel as a whole. And so when we have here, and I'll show once again, so this blue, right, that's pretty much like our base ground cover, right? As you can tell in the background, that's pretty much everything that's in the background, where this yellow is everything that's in our foreground, our main subject, I should say. And then this brown, and if you saw my class, you would know that this brown is the transitional color between that blue and that yellow. And then that teal, of course, I use as always as my highlights. So that, in a smaller explanation, is how you can pick your palette here in simpler terms. Instead of just like picking colors just because you think they look good, that may work for you, honestly, but understanding where they come from and how they work and interact with each other is very, very, very important. And that way you can now pick colors because they work well together, not just because they look nice. Because we're trying to get ourselves out of the I'm just picking things blindly and picking something with a purpose. And there's a complete there's a complete opposing force to doing that. So what I'm going to be focusing on today with my painting, and at this point, I'm probably just going to bring this thing closer. To us. So I can just turn around and There we go. See it a little bit now. But what I'm really going to be focusing on is this upper cornered eye. Just needs a little bit more attention, just to give it a better shape and flow. And then I'm going to focus on like these little finite details that are down here to make them make sense a little bit more. And then I'm going to be focusing on this detailed area in the center of the face, because I want that to be my absolute focal area. And then last but not least, I will be doing the teeth. And if you've been following me, watching my videos and everything like that, you know I hate doing teeth. So I'm saving that for dead last. So let's see here. I have my water and my paintbrushes. I just don't have my paper towel, but that's okay. It's very important to have a paper towel. So I'll just use this towel that's down here. Just grab it. We are in my room. All right. And my mentor had always said to never let go of your paper towel. And I fully agree with that. Usually when I paint, I always like hold on to my paper towel. That's always like the one thing that I'm grasping on for dear life. And all right, so let's see here. I'm gonna point this down actually, so you guys can kind of see me color mixing here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this brush first, and I'm gonna get this brush like sopping wet. Kind of like put it in the middle with some water. I'm gonna look at my painting first, let me see what I'm gonna do. All right, so I'm gonna make an in-between tone of these two. So I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab onto this. And when I was talking to Renee Little during the Paradise BYOB, we have very opposing sides of color mixing. And she mixes her colors by memory. So she'll mix her colors and then memorize what ratio that is. And then so she knows how to make that color. Where I do a more Matt Hurtado's way of color mixing, where I just slowly make a gradient. It just slowly happens. Because I know some colors, you can grab like a whole bunch of it and it doesn't change. And then some colors, you grab a whole bunch of it and it changes the entire palette wholly. I don't know, it's not a race. Painting is one of those cool things where you don't have to rush to make it. At least that's why I like painting. So I'm pretty much making two different hues, but they're of very similar value. One is very warm, one is very cool, but I just remembered that I have another color here. My burnt sienna. So I'm going to take that out. Put a very small amount. And that's why I like heavy body acrylics a bunch, because you can use so much of it. And let's see here. A little goes a long way. All right, so I have these palettes here. Like back up. Hello. And let me get rid of this actually, because I'm not using it. And let's see here. Put my sleeve up so I don't ruin my brand new shirt. And pretty much what I'm gonna be focusing on, like I said, it's just that eye area first. And just so I can get it a little bit closer for you guys. There we go. A little bit better, right? And the important thing with lighting is to make sure that, because obviously painting in a good lighting is very, very important. I've made the mistake of painting in like a very yellow lighting, and then I bring it into a natural light, and it's like the whole palette's changed. I'm like, ah, shit. So let me actually, I usually paint with two brushes, one a wet brush and one a dry brush. So I'm gonna have the other one very much in my hand. And pretty much what I'm focusing on is just keeping this like an actual eye socket. Because up here it's looking just a little dark, so I'm pretty much gonna neutral this out and fix it as it's already happening, right? And I love doing skull studies as a, sorry, I was looking at myself on my phone. I love doing skull studies very much so, because like the answers for your values are already right there. You're just focusing on applying your value. So if you really want to study color, that's the best way to do it, in my opinion. Let me just grab my iPad down here for reference. So I have one reference. I have like a whole bunch of references I've been going off of. And because I always believe that you shouldn't be going just based off of one reference, because you can really be manipulated by your reference, which is a very common occurrence, where people will try and hyper focus on their reference and try and make it look exactly that way, which isn't, that's not the whole point of this. The whole point of this is to pretty much use your reference as a value study for what your actual composition is going to be. So right now I'm just kind of just neutraling all these out here. And these brushes are actually meant for nails, believe it or not. And some of the brushes I use actually are makeup brushes from my makeup kit, believe it or not. I'm just coming in here. I'm looking at my reference too. I'll show my reference in a second, but pretty much what my issue was with the eye socket was that I made it very, very dark on the top, and it kind of looked more synced in. And we all know that that top eye socket area curves over. So I'm trying to get it to that point. And I'm also playing with down here. And I always like adding these like little swirly things, because it gives you a new cast shadow that you have to be, you know, aware of in your composition. So honestly, like this wasn't just like a composition I dreamt about or anything like that. Like to me, this is a value study. This is what I would call a value study for myself. And as you can see, I'm not just using this one color in one area. I'm using it everywhere. just to imply that this is now part of this palette in a whole, not just in one area. Even if it's being used as like a glaze per se. So I'm using it literally everywhere. And that's the cool thing about heavy body acrylics too, is that they're so opaque to where usually since I've started using these heavy body acrylics, I haven't been needing a dry brush as much as I would if they were like a softer bodied acrylic. As you can tell, I'm using this as a dry brush. You can hear the sound it's making. And assigning your values like I had done before, when I talked about in my chroma class, is very important. So, which was the problem that I'd done. I had assigned a value and then I just made it much darker. I made it, you know, part of the dark family, not part of this midtone family, which is what that eye socket area is. And the cool thing about these heavy body acrylics as well is they are very, they dry very quickly. And I actually really, really like that. Just checking in on everybody. Saying good morning to everybody that's saying good morning. Good day to paint, right? Don't mind my winter hat. It's very cold in my house. And if your acrylics are drying just a little too fast, you can always just add water. And I'm just trying to be attentive with this swirl that's here, but still understanding where my values are supposed to be placed. So right now, it's always good to have an assigned dry brush in your brush kit, because that thing will get destroyed very quickly from, as Ricardo says, scumbling it around. And what I'm trying to do is just create the illusion that this little swirl is casting a shadow on top of this skull here. So sometimes I will start to scumble, and then sometimes I will lightly go on the edges of the area that I've chosen for it and kind of like smooth out the very edge of it. That's what we're doing here. And you may ask, you know, like I pulled out that bright aqua green, yet I'm using a lighter tone, like that yellow ochre is a lighter tone, where the cool thing is that if I applied this yellow ochre down, right, and then went in and applied that bright aqua green on top of it, what it's going to do is actually turn it to a more like teal, because I don't know how well you guys are able to see that, but this bright aqua green, as they call it in Liquitex, to you guys it may be very green, but to me it's like a light blue. It's like a sky blue. It's more blue than green, which is why I wish this camera worked, because you'd be able to see. It's very much sky blue, not aqua green. So applying this, skyish blue, bright aqua green that they call it, on top of this is going to turn it more green, which is going to keep it consistent with this palette. Because you can tell that a lot of warm colors are here, but if I applied that bright aqua green on top, that's now a cool, which is the color of my light source, but it's going to still kick it over to the warmer family, which is the cool thing about temperatures. No pun intended. And just making sure everybody can hear me clearly. So I'm kind of going back and forth between mid-tone and light, and gazing at my skull here, just to make sure I'm applying areas in the right way. My wires keep getting caught on each other. Let's see here, we'll apply a little bit here. I might have to switch to a smaller brush in a second, because I think that's what's going to be needed. And once again, I'm making those bottom teeth very, very, very last. And even though that side is not part of the light family, I'm just going to make it just to amp it up just a little bit. As it dries, you have to remember to take into account 30% of opacity. So adding a little oomph doesn't hurt. And then on the edge of the nose here. And a good pal Jason's coming in. Hopefully he can tell me why. My stuff's not worth it. Okay. Yeah, I think it's time to use a smaller brush. We're gonna let that eye socket dry a little bit before we go back into it, because I think I'm getting too amped up, quote unquote, with the smaller values that are happening inside of this. So morning, Jason. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, no problem.
How's your morning?
Just getting started.
Well, that's good. Getting started is the first thing you got to do in your day. So you're already doing great.
The first thing you got to do in the morning is wake up and get out of bed.
Oh yeah, that's a hard part, really.
Especially when you look like me. Like, it's not always the prettiest sight in the world. So.
And you usually have a cat helping you wake up. That's just why pets are great.
Yeah, she started to knead on my chest and hooked one of her claws into my nipple this morning, and it was
What a way to start your day.
Yeah, not my preferred way to start the day, but it is what it is.
Absolutely. Well, how did the rest of your group go?
Yesterday?
Yeah.
So Faith joined in. We had some discussions. I had to end it a little bit early because I had to rake all the leaves. And then, yeah.
That's it. All right. What'd you guys talk about?
To be honest with you, I kind of forget. We go over a lot of the same stuff every week, so it wasn't anything special.
Oh, okay.
Like how to deal with clients, and what if you get someone that comes in that's looking for a deal, and
I hate those people.
Yeah, I tell them right off the bat, like, listen, if you're gonna sit there and try to devalue my work and what I do, then I'm just gonna double the price, and I'll keep doubling it until it's absurdly high. And if you still want to get tattooed, that's fine.
That's fine.
I mean, taking a $200 tattoo and turning it into $1,000 tattoo real quick is that's definitely one way to kind of show people that you mean business and you respect this industry?
Yeah, I don't know how I got into this area, but I was scouring the YouTubes and there's this show that I didn't know existed, and it's called like the world's most cheap steaks or something like that. And it's pretty much people, and they follow them through their life of how cheap they really are. And I thought I was cheap, but these people, like there was this one guy who wrapped everything in plastic, like to keep it brand new, and would wash his clothes in his jacuzzi. Just like, save money on washing and drying.
I mean,
And
hey,
thought
if
that
it
was
works,
great.
it works.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I am no one's judge, and I myself am very cheap. So, like, I don't mind spending money on certain things, but when it comes down to it, I'm shopping around for the best deals. I'll wait until something goes on sale. And
yeah, no, but that's what I thought. But like, this is bad. Like, there'd be people that would haggle like 50 cents off of something, and just like, what? Like, there's this one guy who literally was trying to find a cake for his wife, and he was like, literally told the baker, he was like, what if we have the cake but without the frosting? Like, how much would that be?
now there are certain like gifts, right? When you give someone a gift, spend a little bit of money on it, right?
I just thought it was hilarious because I could only imagine the amount of people that I've dealt with that would try and negotiate the price of their tattoo. I'm like, no, I've never ever allowed somebody to just be like, yeah, no, I'll negotiate with you. Like, no, man, not doing that. And the
We're
dude
like,
was
yo, I want to get all this work done, but
at like
I'm
$40.
I'm trying to get it done for like this price. Can you do it?
Yeah,
It's
more
like,
people.
could I do it? Yes. Will I do it? Absolutely fucking not.
Yeah. Yep. Just like when you get those people online when you're first starting out that are like, oh, if you need some skin to practice on, man.
I need skin to practice on. I'm gonna roll up my own pant leg.
Yeah, pretty literally. I'm gonna pull a Sandy and just do my whole leg. Death Wish coffee. Oh, they have them in the K cups now. Oh wow. My God. What
I
is
am
it, like,
a happy boy.
that's like a 4 cups of coffee in one little thing.
I know, and I put 2 of them in.
Oh my God.
It's like
Jeez.
liquid crack.
It's Monday.
Yeah, and I have to go into work.
Oh, you're going into the studio today?
Yeah.
What you doing today, bud?
Well, maybe I'll live stream it and you can tune in later.
Ooh.
Are you painting without even looking at the canvas?
I mean, I'm looking this way. I can see what I'm doing. It's just a value study, guy. What can go wrong? I mean, honestly, Jason, are you surprised? You know,
If you can paint like this without even looking at the actual physical canvas, knowing that cameras will distort colors and screens will distort colors, then how do you know you're doing it right?
because I can look at it. It's right here.
Shut up. Why you always gotta make fun of me?
I'm not making. I'm just letting you know that I can do some cool stuff like that, even though it's very dangerous. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that kind of brings me back to something that Ricardo and I have talked about on his show, and that's the impermanence of our work, right? And being willing to invest all of this time in creating something and then turning around and saying, you know what? If I mess it up, that's okay.
Yeah, how many times do you guys tell me that? Every day.
When you cannot have that kind of attachment to it, right?
Which is difficult.
It's very difficult, because we always like to think of the things that we invest our time in this world to be the things that we care the most about. And sometimes you just have to turn around and not care.
It's so hard not to care, Jason. It's like the most difficult, because especially when you dump your heart and soul into a canvas, right? And you're like, oh, this is like the best work I've ever done. And this is not just me. I'm just saying, like, as a young artist, this is a very common thing to have your mind set on, right? And it's hard to just be detached to your pieces of work when you dump your heart and soul into it, which is understanding. But at the same time, it's not your only piece of work that you're going to do this year. So 10 years from now, I'm going to be like, huh, they're all my heart and soul.
10 years from now, I'm going to turn around and be like, yeah, I don't know. I don't like any of them. You can have
Yeah.
them if you want them.
Literally. And it can also hinder your selling too, because after like every painting that I finish, I'm always like, I don't want to sell it. Like, I just want to keep it forever. I made it.
So I was given a piece of advice by some friends of mine that were graphic artists that, they've been doing it for 50 plus years. They said, never sell your originals. So
What?
very, very nice, very, very high-end, high quality, one-off original prints. A very small, limited run of prints, but don't ever sell the originals.
Why? But people sell
Why?
originals all the time.
Oh, I know. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't like to sell originals, but I will give them away.
Oh. See, that's my thing. I like even with this one, I'm like, man, I just want to give it away. I don't want to sell it. Like,
yeah, I'm going to give it to someone that's actually going to appreciate it.
Yeah.
As opposed to selling it to Joe Schmo who might or might not like it. Maybe they'll let it sit in a dingy basement for the next 6 years.
Disrespect. Don't say that. That's not cool. No. Well, and you were with this painting, you were talking about this bottom portion right here, which is probably like the size of my hand. And Ricardo had mentioned doing like a vignetta right on the background. But I don't see, this is where the attachment comes in. I don't want to touch it because I'm afraid it's gonna make it worse. But I know that this area right here, not a good idea. Like, this is just completely empty. It's the size of my hand, not a good empty space. When this whole top area is so crowded compared to this super empty.
Why not have some of those loops and ribbons branch off?
I was
Why not
thinking
have
that.
one split?
Yeah, I have one split here. I mean, I could have another one down here. I'm trying to think like how, like filigree S-curve status, how that would. Oh.
Ah,
I see it. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna do that.
that's just my thought.
No, that's a good one. There's many ways you can do it. And I appreciate that you guys are helping me, like, just not be like, just whatever, I'll leave it. I'm like, no, figure it out.
Push yourself.
There's
Push
an
yourself.
answer.
Stand back
somewhere.
from it, look at it and say, what doesn't look right? What do I need to work on? What do I need to improve? And what can go in this spot? What can go over here? How can this be more balanced? It's all about balance.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And I didn't know that was.
When your warms and your cools are in balance, when your lights and your darks are in balance, when your composition, positive and negative, are in balance, it's going to be a pleasing piece to look at.
Yeah. I just, it's at that stage where I just like want it to be done. It's like so close to being done that I'm just like, I just want it done. So you're just trying to rush it, which is not good because that's when bad things happen, especially at that last stage of detailing. When you rush that stage, what happens? Ruined.
I don't know. I've always found that I did some of my best work like an hour before it was due or an hour before the person was coming to pick it up, just because of like deadlines. And my life is run off of deadlines, right? If I don't have a deadline, it's not going to get done.
Yeah, I feel that.
You know, I've got too many other things going on in life to worry about, get to this in my own time. It's like, all right. So that means never do it, right? And I tell people that right off the bat. It's like, listen, if you give me an open-ended deadline, like friends of friends and family and all that stuff. Oh yeah, could you draw this sleeve up? No rush. Whenever you get the chance. No. Oh, I mean, could I? Yes. But I don't even have time to do art for me. I have 2 hours a week. I mean, well, no, I can't say that. Lately, I've been forcing myself to paint in the evenings, usually between midnight and 2 a.m.
Midnight and 2 a.m. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's like really the only time I have in which to do stuff that I want to do.
That makes sense though. And I've told my other people that aren't artists, I told them about it as far as what do you do when you get home? Draw.
Work.
Work doesn't stop just because I get home, guys.
And you know what? That may be the case for like other jobs that are out there where you can disconnect when you get home, right?
Yeah.
And you find that with a lot of other jobs, accounting, marketing, customer service, all types of stuff like that. You can stop when you leave the office. When you're a tattoo artist, if you want to be at the top of your game, there's no stopping when you get home.
No, you chugga.
It's called the hustle. You got to get your hustle on.
Yeah, it's just somebody who's working harder than I am and will always be working harder than I am. Yeah. So technological question, right? So I was having difficulties here, right? Spotlighting the second camera that I have. Like, it's just not giving me the option, Jason.
Try it again now that there's 3 people in here.
Oh, is that it? Fucking Zoom.
So Zoom won't let you spotlight someone unless there's more than 2 people in there.
What? Oh.
There you go.
There it is. Oh, finally. All right. No, I'm not just painting in the background. What a beautiful time. Fantastic. Well, good to know now that I know I can't do that regularly. And I'm not even, if you can. Okay, good. Perfect. Great. Awesome. Now I can actually paint in lifetime without in the background. Beautiful. All right, everybody. So I'm focusing on this eye socket that's right here. Using this yellow ochre and burnt sienna as my middle ground between my blues and yellows.
Also, knowing the anatomy of a skull, right?
Oh, geez, yeah.
You have that ocular bridge along from what I'm seeing, the left side of the skull.
Yeah.
Right where the temple would be, right next to your eye socket.
Yeah. This?
No, other side.
This?
No.
This?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, this thing.
So that portion of the dome of the skull, shouldn't that be the same value as the pit of the eye socket, knowing that it kind of connects back there?
This pit? Wait, this pit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I am slowly adjusting that because it was like that area was like down here. So it was curved here at one point, and I was like, oh no, that's like 100% wrong. And then I shifted it up here, and then I focused on that top swirl. So as you can tell, it's kind of like slowly dissipating, and that eventually that burnt sienna line is going to be like very much not there. And what's going to happen is like this line here is going to be more curved. It's going to be like going out to where this spot is here.
Right.
So slowly but surely fixing my mistakes at that eye socket. Let me see. Let me show reference. Bring this over. This is the reference I'm going off of, right?
Love that picture.
So, I don't know if it will focus, but you can see that area is like tucked. If I can see my finger, tucked behind like here where that line is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to adjust right now is like that. And the values of the eye socket are like mid-tone to,
Yeah.
So I'm trying to adjust
No,
that.
You're right.
So I'm trying to adjust all of that because as you know, I started this at the Paradise BYOB and I was not of sober mind. So I'm trying to fix my mistakes that I made.
I don't think a whole lot of us were throughout the weekend.
No. And after my seminar, somebody was like, "Hey man, why don't you try some tequila? It warms the heart."
It does.
Oh no, it definitely does. But you know, when you like that warming heart feeling, can't seem to stop drinking it. Because
Yeah, myself and two other people, we killed probably a half a bottle of bourbon one night. That was not a fun night. Oh no, correction. It was a blast of an evening. It was not a fun morning.
oh, I Halloween day, I was very hungover and never been that hungover before. I don't know what it is. Okay, growing up, right? Because I'm a youngin'. I had never gotten a hangover before, and then once you get one hangover, it's like they don't stop from there. And I was that's what I learned. I was like, oh geez, I don't know, I'm young, I'll never get a hangover ever. And then once I got one, it's like you gotta do something.
Wait until you get to be my age, where your hangovers, like when you really tie one on, your hangovers will last 3 days.
What? No. That sounds like not a fun time.
Oh, it's fucking terrible.
Why is drinking a thing? Don't do it, guys.
It's so much fun.
Just have an edible. Besides you, Jason, don't have one.
No. I will become one with my recliner and not move a muscle for 8 hours.
One with my recliner. Oh, that's hilarious.
Our entities will merge and I will become the recliner.
You like you ever see that commercial where they like promote not doing drugs and they have like that kid who's like deflated on the couch? That's you.
Pretty much, yeah. I'm a terrible high. I'm terrible.
I want to see it though, just like so my eyes can witness.
I giggle for about 15 minutes and then it's and it's like someone hits a light switch. I'll fall asleep mid-sentence.
Yeah. Like
those people known to do that.
Like those people who fall asleep at the movie theater. Oh, here it is. Okay. Oh, geez. I just totally pictured you like this. This is you, Jason. There's you.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Completely deflated on the couch. Oh man. What a hilarious time. Okay. Why do I make fun of you, buddy? I'm sorry.
It's coming from the heart, and that's what matters.
Yes, it is. So important aspect here to point out that I talked about in my last class. I made it very clear on how to establish your colors, like how you're establishing your values, right? So like this burnt sienna color that I'm using is, for example, like in the midtones, but like what midtone is it? It's my darkest light. And then on the other side, we have that like raw burnt umber color, which is my lightest dark. And then
Can I just say that I love burnt umber?
Oh, it's so good.
Technically, I love all of the umbers. I love warm umber. I love a yellow umber. I love a burnt umber. I
Well,
just
burnt
like the
colors in
umbers.
general.
I love the umber family.
Shout out to the umber family.
Yep. My homies. Ultimate transition colors.
Absolutely. Yes, Jason. Thank you.
They are. You can use an umber to transition any color into any other color.
Yep.
You
Jason,
want to go
know.
purple to green, umber.
Yeah.
You want to go blue to a canary yellow, umber.
And you know why that is, right? Because that it's pretty much all the umbers are just primaries mixed with their complementaries.
They're neutrals.
So that's why they transition to each other. So it's magic. Magic, Jason. Did you know? Colors are magical. They're not difficult. They're not scary like some people believe.
Yeah, colors are, to me, color done right in anything will make it that much more dramatic, because then you get into the emotions behind color.
Oh yeah, I just started reading a book about emotional color.
Mm-hmm.
And like why they use like in marketing, why they use specific colors for specific things, like why all pharmacies are red, and stuff like that. It's like I didn't know they did that on purpose. I just thought CVS copied Walgreens. I didn't know that they were like, no man, this is like alert. This is pharmacy.
Yep.
It's crazy. And how is it that that humans recognize color but like attach it to an emotion? You know what I mean? It's insane. I don't understand that part. And I think that
honestly, I think it has something to do with the wavelength of light that gets reflected, that hits some type of an ocular nerve that has some type of a sympathetic response in our brain. That's my theory. That's totally untested, but that's my theory.
And I'm I'm also reading that like color theory book that I mentioned before that Johann, I forgot his name. Wolfgang something, not Bach. Different guy. And he's talking. Yes.
Before I forget, can I plug something real quick?
Plug something?
Yeah.
Go ahead, bud.
Deadly Tattoo Convention in Calgary, Canada. The Deadly Tattoo and Arts Convention. I'm going. It's going to be epic. You need to be there. June 3rd through 5th out in Canada, in Calgary, run by James Tex from Deadly Tattoos. It's going to be epic. He's keeping it very much art focused, very small. Like, I think he said he only wants like 200 people to be there. And he wants it to be like very, very art focused. So if you're like me and you have any kind of like, if you really look up to anyone that's an artist or a tattooer in Canada, you've got to go and check it out. It's going to be absolutely incredible.
So what you're saying, Jason, is road trip.
No.
Oh, you're flying?
Hell yeah.
Oh,
it's going to take 7 hours just to fly there.
Oh, is Calgary like up there? I don't know geography that well.
So if I were to fly from here to California, it would take 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have to fly from Philadelphia, not only over, but up as well. So it's a longer distance. So tack on another hour or two. Plus you're going against the airstream that comes down in Canada. So.
Oh, they're like fighting against it. Okay. That makes sense.
So, yeah.
Okay, well, when did you say it was? June 13th?
June 3rd through 5th.
3rd through 5th. Got it. And it's just, is it tattooing or just art?
Tattooing and art.
Oh. Oh, that seems nice.
I'm gonna go up there and crack some beers with James, Anthony, and Chris Dunn.
Well, hot dog, Jason.
I'm trying to get my friend Fibs to go, and a couple other people as well. I might call up my friend Clement from Malaysia and have him fly out from Malaysia.
You know so many people from all over the place. It's insane.
I know a couple people here and there, but I wouldn't say I know a lot of people all over the place.
Still a lot.
That's what happens when you put yourself out there. You meet people.
Yeah, but you know, sometimes I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with putting myself out there. I like it, but I hate like the Instagrams and the social media. I hate it.
Oh no, I like real life socializing. Like
Oh,
that's where I thrive.
Yeah, you do. If anybody has ever worked with Jason at a convention, you know that this dude can just like make friends with anybody.
I mean, what's the sense in staying in your own little bubble?
I mean, I know, but you're just so good at just walking up to somebody, and then 2 seconds later, they're like, "Wow, are we best friends?" And you're like, "Yeah, that's why I walked up to you."
You might not have realized it, but yes, we are.
We are now one
Yeah.
with the friends.
Well, you know, that's just kind of the way that that's the way that I was raised, is put yourself out there. You know, you can't, there's an old poker saying that goes, you can't win what you don't put in, right? And you can't lose it either. So the question is, are you willing to take that risk to gain? Or are you purposefully going to hold back because you value what you have more than what you could have?
Dang, Jason. That's philosophical.
Just let that stew for a minute.
Oh, okay. Everybody's out there, just let it stew.
Yeah, let it sink in. Do you value what you currently have over what you potentially could have?
Dang. You know, that's an interesting concept because I very much do appreciate everything that I have all the time. Like I'm all set. Like I don't need anything more really than what I have. But in the back of your head, you always want like more, right? That's always like the human thing, that you want more than what you have. But you have to be appreciative of what you have before you can go off and get the more that you want, right?
Right.
Right. So it's just the understanding of that, which is very, very important, which is what you're trying to, hone in on here, which I appreciate because it's very, very true. So absolutely, Jason. I'm about it, buddy. You and your philosophical mind.
I like to philosophize.
Yeah, I know. You have that aesthetics book that I want to read.
Oh, it's a good one.
That you showed Ricardo.
It covers all different types of things. Like, for example, let's take counterfeiting. Okay. Counterfeiting artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Say I'm a counterfeiter and I reproduce, I don't know, let's say one of Rembrandt's oil paintings,
Mm-hmm.
using period material, using period paints, and I render it precisely to be exactly like Rembrandt's.
Wow.
Okay. Now, the original is obviously still worth more, But could it not also be argued that there is an art to creating a duplicate copy?
Is there?
Oh, I would think so. I wouldn't be able to do that.
What's the argument for
takes-
that?
That takes someone that really understands the media, that really understands the period material, right? Like the hand ground pigments, the very specific binding formula that every painter kept to themselves because that was their trade secret, right?
Yeah.
When you really understand that kind of stuff, and then you're able to turn around and duplicate a great master's work, is there not an art to that?
No, there it definitely is. That, oh man, that brings up a very, 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 very good subject. Have you seen on the Netflix, there is this documentary called Art Fraud? I think that's what it's called. And it pretty much talks about how this person, right, there was this lady who was selling like duplicate arts that weren't like from the originals. It was just like somebody who copyrighted it and just redid it, like how you're explaining. And it sold for like millions and millions and millions of dollars. And she continuously sold different paintings from not the artist, but said it was the artist. But it was some dude in Asia who was just doing it, like some old man who was just doing it and just like, yeah, I just like to paint, that's all. Like,
Yeah.
a very innocent guy. And he had no idea that his paintings were being sold for that much. He would just like the paintings and like to redo them. And that's pretty much like the same argument that you're bringing up, that like, how is that not also art, even though it was a composition that was already created? Because like this here, how many people have done skull studies? Christian Perez, like, you know what I mean? That's still art. That's still an original that you make. It's still something that is made from hand. So
Well, and I think the major difference is, and this is where you get into a big argument with some people that are all about like drawing from their mind as opposed to drawing from a reference.
yeah.
Right? Because there are a lot of people out there that, with the millions of artists that there are out there in the world, there might be maybe 4,000 really good skull pictures that people can use to reference.
Yeah.
Right? So you're working with millions versus 4,000.
Mm-hmm.
How many are you really going to get a unique composition and a unique work of art out of that?
Yeah.
So I understand that aspect behind it.
Oh,
But
no,
at the same
absolutely.
time, if you're like Christian Perez and you go through and you buy your own models, you make your own lighting, you set up your own photos, you light them the way that you want to light them, you take a photo of that still life that you have just created, and then you decide to make that painting, that's a completely unique original work because number
Yes.
one, no one else has that photo. Number two, you're creating an original hand done work of art from it, right? So there's two original works of art right there. And from that you're extrapolating and you can say, a copy of a copy is, just another further abstraction from that original image.
Yeah.
Right.
No, 100%. And obviously the argument is that like this artist is signing somebody else's name to their artwork and getting the credit for it. So that's obviously an argument too. But it does come down to like, that like that guy that sold what that invisible painting that he sold that you talked about that one time, that it was just a room and he was just like, yeah, like
it's a sculpture. It sold for $18,000 and it's literally nothing.
yeah.
It is the energy that once occupied the space of a sculpture. And the guy created an NFT for it and sold it for $18,000.
So interesting. when it comes down to, I think something that he wanted to bring, and that's just me speaking from what he's saying, is that the artist's name could mean more than the artwork that they bring out.
Absolutely. Have I ever brought up an artist called Cy Twombly?
Have you? I believe so. Don't.
Do you not remember the hours-long rants I've gone on about Cy Twombly?
No. Reiterate my brain. Maybe I do.
Do you remember me talking about a permanent gallery in the Philadelphia Museum of Art?
Oh, that's right. Okay, yes. Okay, now I remember. Oh.
Millions of dollars.
Yeah.
For crayon scribbles on canvas.
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to like what you had said before. You've made this point a bunch of times too with Picasso and that guy that came up to him and asked for, like a scribble on a napkin. He was like, okay, yeah, like $15,000. Like, the guy's like, what? And it comes down to
took
the
you
name.
3 minutes, and it's like, no, it took me 40 years.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it comes down to like the name that you make for yourself as an artist compared to, like the artwork that you make. Because then you get to a certain point where you can just make scribbles on crayon on canvas and then be like, masterpiece, revolutionary.
Well, I mean, look at Jackson Pollock, right?
Yeah.
People love his works. Modern art enthusiasts love Jackson Pollock's works. That's great. Where's the craftsmanship? Where's the artistic skill involved in it?
Yeah, absolutely. But like, and especially and I'm not an abstract artist at all, but that post abstract art is very much the in nowadays.
Well, we're getting back to a point. So we're now in an art period called the postmodernist or neo-representational period. I call it neo-representational. Other people will call it the postmodernist era, where during the modernist era, we were all about that thought, right? What is this original thought, right? And how can you depict this original thought? Or in what way can you depict this idea, right? Because ideas in and of themselves are abstract. It's energy. It's a concept. It's not something tangible. So to be able to represent a tangible thought is, obviously pretty awesome. To have a physical representation of something that is not tangible. It is interesting. It's very impressive. We went from the abstract phase where it was, okay, how can I extract or abstract this, but still maintain the essence of this? Look at Marcel Duchamp's Nude Descending the Staircase #2, right? Mm-hmm. When you look at it, you can see the motion of someone walking down a staircase, right? Based on the different diagonal lines that he uses and his tonal values. You can, if you open your mind enough, you can see someone and the motion that's created by them walking down a staircase. Then you get Picasso, who takes it a step further. Mm-hmm. Picasso takes it and he's just trying to extract the overall essence of what it is he's trying to depict, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Great. Then you move into the modernist era where it's like a lobster phone, right? Salvador Dali, by the way, made the lobster phone, where he literally took a lobster, turned it upside down, and put it on top of the phone and called it art, right? But he's an artist. So that's what he creates.
Yeah. Which brings up like the question of, and I've asked you this a bunch of times, of like what art is. you know, like the definition of what art is. And it's like, it's just the creative mind, really. Being able to take what's in your brain and translate it to whatever medium that you want to put it down, and just like, that's it, it's art.
See, I define art in a very different way. I define art as not necessarily representational, but something that involves, or the creation of something that involves at least a minute amount of craftsmanship.
Mm.
Whether it's performing arts, dance, music, there's craftsmanship that's involved.
Yeah.
How much are you caring about the work that you're creating, right? If you're gonna do a painting of an apple, how well, like, are those lines in that painting, those hard edges, are those gonna be crisp, hard edges? Or are you gonna have one little area that you didn't bother to touch up or fix, where you kind of painted outside that edge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it just stands out like a sore thumb, but you just didn't feel like going back through and fixing it. Well, that's a lack of craftsmanship.
Called out.
Okay. If you're going to sit down and you're going to create a hard edge, refine that edge, make it so crispy, sharp, and hard that you can't help but look at it and be like, man, how did they get that edge so sharp? Right? You see that when you look at the great master Renaissance paintings.
Oh gosh, yeah.
When you see a hard edge of fabric in any one of Caravaggio's paintings, any single one of them, when you see a hard edge, there's no smudge of the color that he used for the fabric that goes into that.
Called out.
Okay, it is a crisp edge.
Yeah.
Right? Because he took the time to make sure that that edge was crisp. You know, you can have these very loose, very expressive paintings. That's great. You know, but to me, it's one thing to try to capture the essence of that moment, which is where we get the expressionist and the impressionist period, right? Where the goal of these artists was to go through and capture that moment and paint, right? So they would look at a lot of Van Gogh's work, right?
Love him.
Right. Van Gogh was all about capturing that moment. Look at, I believe it's Manet.
Yep.
Right? Very, very expressionist, very, let me capture this light right here at this moment.
Yep.
Okay. You know, so, I mean, granted, yes, every artist has a different goal and a different thing that they're trying to achieve. But I think what we're starting to see is a return to that refined, representational. If I'm trying to depict a woman eating an apple, I don't just want to see one beige square and one red square. You know, people are now, from what I've seen and from what I've talked to, they're now starting to take a greater appreciation again for those things that are very representational. You see that a lot in the tattoo world, right?
Yeah.
You see a lot of people flocking to these portrait artists and these these crazy realism artists that are incredible artists, absolutely incredible artists. And I'm not trying to downplay that at all. You know, so long as that artist is coming up with an original composition or taking original photos or going off of completely original unpublished photos that no one else has, by all means, do it, execute it. Well, 100%. And I think we're starting to see that reflected back into the fine art world, where people are starting to turn around and have a greater appreciation for more representational work.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, that's why I call it, you know, what was it? Neo-representationalism, right? Because it's a return to that.
Yeah.
You know, where you know, you can have this concept and that's great, but I think we got so saturated with, you know, people that were coming up with bullshit art, slapping a really good artist statement on it, calling it art, and then selling it for millions of dollars, and then having Joe Public turn around and be like, how the fuck is that art?
Yeah. And
You know, I think we're starting to experience a little bit of a backlash.
absolutely. And with the tattoo industry, I've noticed a shift of, you know, tattoo artists and artists being tattoo artists, and the difference between the two of them, because you see those like super painterly tattoos coming out, and they're like, that's like the most popular thing that I've been seeing are like the oil painters that are doing tattoos, and it looks like an oil painting of like Val Tattoo, like all her tattoos look like oil paintings, like from brushstrokes and all, and it's something to definitely take home. And I've had several students from the UMass area come to our shop and talk about how they want to be a tattoo artist, but they don't know whether or not to finish school. And it's like, well, you're already like doing it, just finish it. And my boss had said after they left that, you know, back in his day, he just learned from like a biker shop that nobody knew how to like draw outside of that. They were just tattooers. You just learned how to do a panther the same way as everybody else, and roses the same way as everybody else from the same steps. And how much it's changed because people are going to art school first before becoming a tattoo artist, and vice versa. It's definitely a new awakening for art, for sure, and taking the proper steps to get to that point in your life. And I think it's amazing. But at the same time, you know, longevity is always the question.
Longevity is always the question, right?
Yeah.
Because it's different. Working with tattoos is way different than working with, you know, oil paints or acrylic paints. If you're talking about a medium that will literally change with that person's body over time, you have to factor that in. That's why one of the most inspiring people I've ever talked to was Christina Christie up in Canada. She engineers her tattoos with all of these incredible contour lines. And when I was talking to her, it blew my mind because, which by the way, if you guys, anyone that might be watching has never heard of Christina Tattoos on Instagram, go look her up. Feel free to pull up her stuff.
I'm gonna pull up her stuff right now.
So the one thing that really impressed me with her was that she's thinking 50 years down the road. Before she ever executes the tattoo, she's looking at the longevity. She's looking at, what is this tattoo going to look like in 60 years?
Yeah.
You know, and that's impressive.
Yeah, the contour lines are definitely a great idea to keep longevity. Like those neo-traditional artists that will pretty much use those colored lines to outline each like color that they place in or value they place in, like a paint by numbers, so that if it does tend to fade away or do whatever it does, those harder line, like colored lines, are still there to tell the viewer what color that is. And that's super intelligent a move to make. For sure. Absolutely. But it's just paying attention to, you know, what other artists are doing. And this is why, like you said, going out and putting yourself out there is important because of that. So that way you can meet people and like, hey, you use contour lines? That's crazy. I'm going to start using contour lines.
Right. You know, but when you really start to put that forethought in there, you know, that's where I have to hand it to a lot of like neo-traditional and traditional artists. They're looking at longevity. They've been trained in, okay, can we do this? Yes. Will this work? Yes. And it'll look great for the next few years. But they're looking at it more long-term, right? Look at James Texas work, right? He goes through and all of his tattoos are rock solid and will look that way until the person dies. Because he's thinking about that longevity, but it's gotten to the point where he doesn't even consciously think of it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
This is Christina's.
Right?
I just love this one. I really do.
Right, but look carefully at those arms, look carefully at the body shapes and the planes of the body. Look at all those tiny little contour lines, right?
Mhm.
Those contour lines are still going to be there.
Yeah.
After a lot of those super subtle color shifts fade out, those contour lines will still be there. You will still be able to see the value and the form and that shape many years down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm very much about her work for sure. Like, yeah, absolutely. There was this artist here that is very Italy that I have been shown. I'm just making sure I type his name in right. You heard of this guy, Dimitri Simone?
Yeah, I've seen his work.
First of all, this painting, goddamn. I'm just gonna throw my paintbrushes away because holy shit. It's insane. Just the subtleness, but yet this part is like out of focus, and this part is so in focus, and everything's so soft and subtle, and this hard edge that's like right here. Oh god, it's so
Yeah,
amazing.
but look at how crispy that edge is.
Yeah.
Right? That he's got a ton of just pure craftsmanship involved in this one painting. Look at the hard edge down at the bottom.
Yeah.
Right there. That little piece poking up, that lighter purple piece.
Yeah.
That's got such a crispy, defined edge.
So much of it has a defined edge. Oh my goodness. Right.
That's someone that really puts a lot of time and craftsmanship into what they create.
Yeah, absolutely. And his tattoos are always like this one I love so much. Insane. Just absolutely insane. And it very much looks like a painting. Which is just like, there's so many different styles nowadays of tattooing that you can get yourself into and look into. It's insane. And I don't really know so much about like the younger, or not so much the younger, but the older generations of tattooing. But I've been told back then that there wasn't a lot of different styles. It was kind of just like traditional black and gray and Japanese.
Right. And I think a lot has changed as far as the materials that are being used. You know, I think a lot of that's changed. I think a lot of the machine technology has changed. You know, before they were using, coil machines, and everything that everyone was taught was run them like a bat out of hell. Bury that shit in there, get it in there, and, let it do its thing. But they were also focused on volume over, individual quality. And when you focus on volume over quality of a product, and you focus on the number of products over the quality of the product, that's where you get into, a lack of craftsmanship.
Yeah.
So now that people are starting to move in a direction where they have the time to go through and really focus on one individual piece, as opposed to just, getting 30 sailors out the door, I think that's definitely something that you have to factor in. So, but on that note, I'm going to wrap up with you. I have to get running. I have to get to the studio and get set up.
Perfect. Thank you so much for hanging out.
You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you very much for having me.
Yep. Do you want to tell everybody where they can find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Philly Ink. I work at the Inkwell Tattoo in Southampton, Pennsylvania. I'm also on Reinventing the Tattoo under the same name, Philly Ink. Feel free to check out the Sunday afternoon drawing groups at 1 p.m. on YouTube. You know, I always like to go through and have some interesting discussions, and I always encourage more people to join in. Yeah, also make sure to check out the Deadly Tattoo and Arts Convention. That's coming up June 3rd through 5th in Calgary, hosted by James Tex. It's going to be a show that you do not want to miss. So.
All right. Thank you so much, Jason.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me on as always. Take care and have a wonderful day.
You too, Jason. All right. Well, that being that, I guess I will do my close off too. I guarantee this is not going to let me spotlight my painting, but that's okay. I'll post up some stuff, or maybe not. Trying to take a break here from social media to just focus on getting some actual work done, and focus on studying art, because that's what's important. But with that being that, we will do our sign off as well. Thank you so much to everybody that's been tuning in. Thank you so much to everybody that is said good morning, all that fun stuff. I'm sorry, I have like a hiccup going on right now. You can find me on Instagram at Frankie Says Things, and you can find me at Reinventing the Tattoo at Frankie Tattoos Things. And I will still answer like DMs and stuff. I just haven't really been posting. I'm just trying to take a hiatus a little bit from it, just for like another week or two, just to get myself aligned and grounded with life as being an artist. But if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to let me know and give me a message. Tune in next week for the Monday morning drawing group with myself again. Or on Thursdays at 10 a.m., where I do a more structured class, where this week we've been doing color theory, or this month I should say we've been doing color theory. So we're going to continue that trend on. And so if you want to check it out at 10 a.m. Eastern time on YouTube or the Reinventing the Tattoo app to join in and draw with me. With that being said, thank you so much to Reinventing the Tattoo for everything that you've done for me. Thank you so much to the Horseman for inspiring me every single day. Love you guys so much. And I'll catch you guys next week. All right. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful day.